Well, The Legends of the Sea Devil was quite the mixed bag. Thasmin? Delicious. I am satiated with an angsty 3-course meal. The actual episode itself? Disappointing. Which sucks because we were given such wonderful Thasmin moments, but it was packaged up in what I think is a weak episode. After last week's video on the horrendous ending that was Killing Eve, I was looking forward to making something more positive, and overall this is, but I feel I need to acknowledge what didn't work for me in this episode before I discuss the Doctor and Yaz shippy moments. This episode was so key to Thasmin that to ignore the packaging these moments came in would feel like I'm ignoring an elephant in a room, because they did impact how I felt about the scenes themselves. If you're not in the mood for that, feel free to skip to the Thasmin chapters. I am curious to know if you felt the same way as I did about the episode, if you like it, or if the Thasmin eclipsed any of the episode's weaknesses. And there were weaknesses. It reminded me of the quality of a middling season 11 script. I have to start off by making note of the very odd camera and editing which had me feeling disorientated and claustrophobic, especially at the front end of the episode where they forewent the more traditional shot progression to jumping into these close-up shots. Sometimes I was wondering where the characters had gone to, or we were so jarringly transitioned into a new scene that it made me come out of the narrative. This is not something I notice much as a rule, but here it stood out painfully. Then it felt like we were missing important movement or transition shots. For all it's an epic special effects-filled action episode, the script fails to provide the necessary grease to the wheels, and consequently it squeaked and ground clunkily along. Yinkin and Dan were suddenly on the beach about to swim off to Madame Ching's boat. Yaz yelling, "The ship is going down!" Is it? I couldn't tell. How did the TARDIS go from being eaten by the sea monster to in the Sea Devil's lair? How did the Doctor release Jin Han with the Sea Devil right there so that they could swing over to Madame Ching's boat? Then there was the musical score. Like the editing and camera work, I noticed it, and not in a good way. It felt like they were trying to make every action sequence in the episode some grand, epic moment, so that the score had nowhere to go when it came to the actual climax of the episode. This was also paired with some weak guest characters. The main characters of Madame Ching, Jihan, Yingqi, and the Sea Devils were caricatures at best, two-dimensional cardboard cutouts who felt like a prop for the plot rather than actual people. The supporting cast's acting wasn't able to make up for the script that felt like it still needed more refinement. As a nemesis, the Sea Devils were underwhelming, hardly menacing, and they just sort of showed the Doctor and Yaz around their undersea lair and seemed willing to answer questions for the sake of exposition rather than it being properly motivated. When it comes to the Doctor, Yaz and Dan, we were also treated to some odd out-of-character moments, notably Dan wandering off with Yin Qi to swim off to Madame Ching's boat. I just don't understand why Dan was taking it upon himself to chaperone him. There certainly is no established motivation for it, and while he likes to help...
She likes you.
I like her too.
No, I mean, she likes you.
Thanks, Dan the man. I don't see him running off without the Doctor and especially Yaz, given how getting separated has panned out in the past. Which is why Yaz suddenly being game about leaving Dan behind, given how she got separated from 13 for literal years, felt even more out of character. But, well, I guess the plot needed them to ditch Dan so that our gals could have their first shippy moment, but more on that later. Things like Yaz being worried about opening the door to the TARDIS while on the ocean floor, given she's quite literally stood with the door open while in outer space, seemed an odd beat to have. Equally strange was Yaz asking the Doctor what the plan is, as if it's the first time she's gotten into a scrape with the Doctor. But again, you know, exposition. And I guess we get to see the Doctor flirt again.
And then I'll dazzle you with a beautiful bit of improvisation.
Which is the cutest. Yaz running her mouth off while giving away strategic information also seemed weird to me, given she's a smart cookie, she's also a police officer. Surely that is interrogation 101. Even the Doctor's willingness to talk about the relationship seemed at odds with how she's avoided anything remotely personal for 3 seasons. Although that I can forgive. But yeah, overall the episode felt clunky, and in need of some more refinement both in script and production elements to make the episode function for me. I guess as a penultimate episode, I was hoping for something closer to Eve of the Daleks in quality. The Thasmin scenes were the strongest of the episode, but they couldn't entirely escape the impact of the issues I've just discussed. So let's segue to more pleasant ruminations for this episode. Let's talk Thasmin. I have to say, I was not expecting so much explicit textual acknowledgement of their feelings, nor was I prepared to see the Doctor flirting. She was awkward and it was adorkable. So yeah, I totally got the wrong end of the stick with what was going on in that little extract from the trailer in my predictions video the other week.
Tell me you're impressed.
You're like a kid sometimes.
Thanks. What, only sometimes? Let's take a look at this shipwreck.
Rather than it being a sign of friction between them, it was flirting. Of course it was. And we get to see it again with...
Not a bad date, am I?
What I want to know is what the thought process was for the Doctor going from looking devastated at being forced to confront Yaz's attraction to her in Eve of the Daleks to being all, yeah, I'll flirt with her even though I have no intention of taking it anywhere. I'll very deliberately use the word date after ditching Dan and pulling a pretty impressive flex by taking Yaz to the bottom of the ocean. Talk about taking the idea of a beach and giving it a salty, fresh twist, eh, Doctor? I guess part of it was to help open up the conversation so that she could address what's unspoken between them. But given how her face is bright and happy one moment, and when Yaz freezes, her face falls and she looks away, perhaps it was nothing quite that calculated. Perhaps it slipped out in a moment of exuberance and amazement at what the universe had to offer. At any rate, that sure put the conversation right onto the front burner. Finally. And poor Yaz looked like she didn't know what to think. Is she not every queer girl when her crush says something that could be totally innocent but is also laden with a potentially sapphic meaning, and desperately trying to analyze it for wording, inflection, expression, just in case it means what she hopes it means? It of course made sense that she'd then ask Dan, our main man.
Did you say anything to the Doctor?
Because she's probably trying to figure out why the Doctor is suddenly flirting and talking about dates when this has conspicuously been absent until now. It is an odd development. Dan did a smooth sidestep on the question, but his face, full of delight, is also my face at Thasmin getting some proper airtime.
Something's missing.
Yes, a kiss is missing. Please kiss. Of course, their date at the bottom of the ocean is interrupted by the seafloor dropping away and the sea devil monster attacking. You know, no biggie. But I gotta give credit to the Doctor for not retreating from the conversation for once by bringing it up as she works to reverse the Earth-destroying polarity shift. She voluntarily raises the subject again and tells Yaz that she has feelings for her, while simultaneously letting her know that it can't go anywhere. But not before she references River Song, over which I got way too excited, because if not Doctor and Yaz, then 100% the Doctor and her freaking wife, River Song. And poor Yaz's head is spinning once more because she's trying to process everything, and it's a lot of information to take in while trying to save the world. So of course, cue an implosion so dense that nothing can escape it for a very long time. Got to keep things spicy, am I right? I thought that maybe this would be the end of the Thasmin moment, so I was surprised when we got over 3 more minutes of it, as they finally sat on the beach, even if the Doctor told her the opposite of everything, because the Doctor is all up in her existential feels. When she said,
I can't fix myself.
I'm like, no, you can't, you're a mess, get some therapy, please, because do you not see the stunning woman by your side who wants to be with you? Again, I was surprised that the Doctor took the lead on the conversation and admitted that she would like to be with Yaz, although the look on Yaz's face when the Doctor asked if they could just go on as they were, gut me. Mandip Gill really played the moments in this scene to perfection. While I wanted them to throw caution to the wind, to live for the now and just go for it, given we know their time has all but run out, the next best thing was the Doctor's wish.
I wish this would go on forever.
Again, surprised that the Doctor was willing to be so explicit about her feelings for Yaz. Without saying it, she's basically confessing her love and explaining probably her greatest vulnerability, the thing that keeps her always so terribly alone in the universe. It was a beautiful moment to close the episode, even if it was positively drowning in the angsty foreshadowing of what was to come. Other things I enjoyed a lot was Thasmin talking in sync.
Oxygen bubble.
Yes, I am here for that. Also, this little moment.
Damp. Bit cramped. Damp cramped.
Oh, and the skip 13 does here. It's also delightful. As much as I enjoyed the scenes we got, I feel that there were some missed opportunities. I get why we didn't get a kiss given the Doctor's unwillingness to go there with Yaz, but I do wish we'd been given a little something like hand-holding or some kind of intimate gesture. A classic tucking of the strand of hair behind the ear would have been magical. You know, some physical gesture where they get to comfort each other because their love is doomed. I wish the Doctor's decision to flirt made more sense, even if I enjoyed it. I would not have been adverse to seeing the Doctor clock that she would need to sacrifice herself as she worked to prevent the polarity shift, and for that to prompt her decision to address the whole date thing. I feel playing it that way would have provided a better character motivation to discuss the date, given 13's tendency to avoid personal conversations. Nothing like death to up the stakes and squeeze those confessions out of the Doctor, right? I think they should have continued the tension between the Doctor and Yaz from the Eve of the Daleks. As it was all but forgotten despite how upset Yaz had been at the Doctor pushing her away. I feel like it would only make sense to build on it as we head into the finale to help provide that tension to force their storyline to its conclusion in a dynamic way. And while I love their final scene, it had poignancy and depth, it also did retread ground, namely reiterating that the Doctor wants to be with Yaz but can't because she's afraid. Given how precious screen time is, I would have liked to see how much further they could have taken that conversation, maybe revealing not everything, but a show that she's opening up about some things. There wasn't much Thasmin in the short preview we saw, except for the heart-wrenching moment where the Doctor starts her regeneration and yells for Yaz. Oh, just stab me now, the agony in that voice. I honestly don't know how much we can expect from the final special, given how little room has been left for anything to develop between them. At this point, I'm inclined to say I don't expect any great Thasmin revelations in the final special, other than revealing how their time together will end. It certainly doesn't feel like there's room for a kiss. I hope to be proven very wrong. Let me know your thoughts about the special in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Until next time, lady lovers.